Okay, guys, so let's talk about a very common question, which ironically enough, I feel like not many people actually think about. Okay, and that question is basically, what do you do after your accounting degree? Now, you might be in a situation where you are currently studying your bachelor's in accounting, perhaps. You might even be in a situation where you are currently studying for a master's and you are thinking or you think that you want to go into a career in accountancy and finance. Now, irrespective of what situation you might fall into, if you haven't thought about what you should be doing after you complete that degree, then you are literally making one of the biggest mistakes of your career. Now, from experience, this is a big mistake that I see so many people making. They don't have a plan, they don't have a strategy in mind. They are literally just plain sailing. They're like, I'm gonna wait until I finish my degree and then I will sit down and think about it. And trust me, I understand just how busy, doing your degree can be and is, but I will tell you now that not having a plan, not having a strategy in place for what you're going to do after you complete that degree is literally going to be what kills your career before it has even started. So let's take a moment and actually think about some of the things you want to put in place if you are looking to start your career in accounting and finance and you're currently working on a degree of some sort. So first things first, you do want to make sure that you are prioritizing actually getting a challenging role. Okay, this could be a challenging role within a public sector organization or even a private sector organization. You could also go as far as seeking out a voluntary role. The whole point of why I'm telling you, in fact, I'm insisting that you prioritize this, is because you need real life work experience. And until you have that, a lot of the theoretical principles that you have studied within your degree is not going to make sense. In fact, working as an accountant for the past 10 years or so, a lot of what I do, in my day-to-day job, I would not even say comes close to what I studied within my qualification, okay? So I know for a fact that those who are studying degrees, there are lots of things that when you get into the real world of work, it just does not apply in the same way. So it's going to be crucial that you make this a priority. Now that, in that sense, might look like you actually making sure that before you graduate, you have prioritized the graduate schemes that you're going to apply to, you have prioritized the placements that you're going to apply to, so it's really important that you are setting in stone what your action plan looks like, okay? And you're not waiting until you graduate before you do this. Take it from me, okay? You want to be prepared prior before you actually graduate on what you are going to do. I have seen countless, colleagues of mine who I graduated with, etc. And I see the difference between people who actually had a plan in place, some kind of strategy as to what they were going to do following that degree, and they started to actually implement some of that well before they actually concluded their degree. Next, then I'd highly recommend that you think about doing once you've actually completed your degree is to learn about how technology and general tools can be very useful in the world of accounting, particularly when it comes to the nature of work that you're trying to do. Now, this is because, as we all know, technology is becoming more and more important in the world of work, in our everyday lives, and accounting is no different. And I will stress that some of the examples where you could use to actually learn this is by making sure that you are learning about different types of software, okay? Particularly software like maybe QuickBooks, Sage, Excel in particular. That is going to be a big bonus. And I feel like I can expatiate this to really tell you that you need to have a focus on learning as much skills as possible that you can transfer into the world of work, okay? But like I said, the key emphasis here is transferable skills. So the transferable skills will really depend on what kind of accounting work is it are you looking for. You know, some people might look to go into project finance. So depending on what type of work it is that you're seeking will depend on the type of skills, the type of tools you should be learning about. I know that I have a video already on my channel where I spoke about some of the high paying skills that people should think about learning if they're looking to secure a much higher salary in the world of accounting particularly. Okay, so feel free to check out that video if that's something that interests you. Now this leads me to the next thing, which is you need to really think about starting a professional accountancy qualification, irrespective of whether you have a job there or not. Now, hear me out first, because I can already sense some people might be like, yeah, but Tess, that's expensive. You know, how do I even know that it's going to be worth my while? You want to get into this field, right? You want to be an accountant. You want to have it as a career. But at this point, all you have is an accounting degree, whether that's a bachelor or master's. In most cases, some people don't even have experience. So you really have to be thinking about what can you do to actually stand out against other candidates. Now, in my personal experience, this was one of the ways I used when I was looking for a job, you know, as an entry-level accountant, and that was years ago. And I remember that one of the main reasons I eventually got my graduate trainee scheme was because despite the fact that I had graduated with a non-accountancy related degree, I studied a science degree, what really helped me was the fact that I had already started taking some of the ACCA exams by myself. Okay, so as a self-study aspect. So this can really help you stand out. It can really help to show to the recruiter, to the employer, that you are serious about getting into this field, and it shows your commitment to actually advancing your career. So I would strongly urge you to consider thinking about taking a few of the papers. I mean, sometimes it could really be as easy as signing up, you know, paying the exam fees, and then looking at the means that you can use to actually self-study by yourself. Self-study is obviously one of the cheaper routes compared to you paying for classes and actually going into the classes themselves, etc. So if you're someone who can learn independently and all you need is really just to get the course materials and self-study by yourself, but at least you know that you are actually taking a strong step towards showing your potential employer and recruiter that you are committed to a career in accountancy. That leads me on to my next tip, which is trying to master commercial awareness. Now, what do I mean by commercial awareness? Now, commercial awareness in this situation basically means that you are developing an understanding of how some of the theories, the principles in accounting and maybe even taxation actually apply and affect companies on a day-to-day basis. Now, this is something that is really hard to do if you don't have the relevant work experience. I know that for a fact. However, I would say that one of the ways that you can train yourself to start to pick up on some of these things is by reading news articles, okay? Particularly things like Financial Times, The Economist, and other, you know, business and finance type papers and reports. It will really help you develop an understanding of, you know, the financial issues that, you know, your everyday companies are having, why they are being affected, what are the tax implications of them being in certain scenarios. All of this thing, I say it because it will really help you when it comes to making your application, when it comes to the interviews in particular. Because remember, when you're a graduate and you're applying for a job, there are tons of other people who have also graduated and are looking for a job. So The competition, in my opinion, is significantly higher when you are just starting out. That's what I found anyway. So the barrier to entry when you're trying to actually get into accountancy is the hardest when you are at the entry level stage, when you're trying to actually break in through those doors. So at this point, it's going to be crucial for you to spend some time actually mastering what your commercial awareness is going to be about, so that by the time by the time an organization actually calls you to an interview, to an assessment center, you are really able to show and prove to that employer that, you know, you are someone who understands accounting and finance beyond the books. You are not just a number cruncher. You are not just someone who can get a first class degree or a second class degree, whatever it is. You are someone who actually has taken time to start to understand the application of some of those principles and how they work in the everyday world of business, okay? So I know for a fact that this final aspect that I'm talking about, the commercial awareness, is usually a make or break scenario, but it is something that you have to be prepared for when you are looking for jobs out there. You aren't just going to be asked your basic set of questions, you know, in terms of competences. There are also other ways that employers and recruiters will want to test you, and one of those ways is usually around commercial awareness. So hopefully this video has helped you. I would strongly encourage you to look to start to put some kind of plan, some kind of strategy together that can actually guide you as to what you want to do following the end of your accounting degree, those next steps. And it might be that you have already graduated. You know, I know that the graduation session for UK universities is literally just coming to an end right now. So you might even be one of the recent graduates that I'm currently talking to. If so, it's not too late. It is definitely worthwhile you thinking of some of the things you want to do and picking up some of the tips that I have dropped in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Do feel free to check out some of my other videos where I share different websites where you can find accountancy jobs here in the UK, as well as other tips that I have shared around how to actually break into accountancy and finance. If you want to see more videos like this, then do make sure you give this video a like and make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notification bells. I will see you in the next video. So let's talk about a common question that's usually asked by quite a few people when they're looking for an accounting job here in the UK, which is, do you need the ACCA qualification for you to get an accounting job in the UK? Now, the answer to this